Hi friends. So we're in the middle of week, what is it, like week 9 or something? I don't know. Just crossed the halfway point. I'm trying to stay better up to date with my reflections and my vlogging and stuff. But today was one of those days that makes you feel so mentally and physically drained. I had a good cry today. I dropped the kids off at one of their specials at computers, and I literally went outside, sat in the sun to soak in some vitamin D and good vibes, and I cried. Cried all the negative energy out. I love these kiddos. They're awesome class. They're a very unique class, but with that comes a lot of behaviors, and you're gonna have bad days. And of course, those behaviors were coming out today, and lots of talking and attention spans all over the place. I just I gave up for a second, but then I was like, I can't give up because I have to finish the day, you know. But this morning, ironically, on my desk was a sign that said, even on the worst days, you're still making a difference to some child. And so I just had to remember that today. Not every day is going to be amazing and perfect. You're going to have bad days. That's a harsh reality. But it doesn't mean that you're a bad teacher. I just have to remind myself that. I just feel like my classroom management just went out the window. And I was just done. But we finished the day. And tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's Friday, so almost the weekend. Can't wait. So, I guess today's lesson is just to keep going. Even if 99% of the class doesn't care about your lessons or doesn't pay attention, there's the 1% that do all the time, and you're still reaching those kids. So just to keep your head up. Tomorrow's a new day. We'll get through it. See you guys next time. Bye. So, good news. Finally fully vaccinated. Yay. I can already feel it, and it's like shortly after. I can already feel the soreness. I'm worried that this weekend is gonna be rough because I heard that if the first one doesn't affect you, the second one does. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm already kind of feeling a little bit loopy. Like made me loopy the first time. Like I kind of felt like I was like on laughing gas. It was weird. But I'm already starting to feel kind of loopy. But you know, it's whatever. But it's Friday. It was a half day today because a lot of the teachers had to go get the COVID shot. And it was already originally a half day, maybe. No, I don't remember. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week, and I'll update you with some more information when I get home. Bye, friends. Hi, friends. So, I am back again to finish up this week's reflection and all that. This past Friday, March 5th, I had gotten the second round of vaccine, as you saw. That I instantly felt I immediately felt it when it hit. Like both times when I got the vaccines, I kind of like immediately started feeling like loopy. I don't know how else to describe it besides that. It was kind of like almost as if they had given me like laughing gas. And the first vaccine, I was still able to work and everything and all that, and I like just felt like loopy and giggly and everything. But then this one, I was like feeling kind of loopy, and then by the time I got home at like 3:30, I was so tired, immediately tired, and so I immediately passed out. I slept until like the morning of the next day and all that, and then I was still feeling really, really tired, and the next day kind of like hit me like a brick wall. My whole entire body ached. I couldn't work. I could barely get out of bed. It was like hard to move my body. My arm killed. I had a headache. I had the sweats. I had a fever for a while. I was like routinely taking ibuprofen to try to keep that down. But yeah, yesterday kicked my butt. I'm definitely feeling a lot better today. But so we're thriving now, but man, yesterday felt like I was on my deathbed. But I mean, other than that, this past week has been pretty great. I was a lot more patient this week, and kind of tried to help the students a little bit more, answer their questions, just be like a little bit understanding, not being so controlling over the noise level and all that. Like remembering that they're collaborating, they're working. Sometimes they have to vocalize things when they're thinking or reading and stuff. So I just kind of had that in the back of my head this week, and I was a little bit more patient with that. It was a little bit of an easier week because we had the half day on Friday for the vaccination. And then it was also Dr. Seuss's birthday and Read Across America Day. This past week, which my CT, my teacher, she loves Dr. Seuss. Her whole classroom is themed around Dr. Seuss. She has I'm pretty sure like absolutely almost all of the books except for like one or two. And so with all of the drama that has happened this week surrounding the Dr. Seuss issue, like it was a little bit hard for her, but we still like learned a little bit of Dr. Seuss. She had a bunch of things that we did. Like we had a writing journal where they would write sentences about things they learned about Dr. Seuss and all that. They did like a little flip book. We did rhyming words with the hats. And each page is like different endings and stuff. So we did that throughout the week, or especially on Tuesday, and then we like sprinkled in a couple like other Dr. Seuss things throughout the week. But I mean, it was definitely interesting hearing a lot of the drama. I mean, this was not a new topic to me. This was not a new issue. I had already been aware of this concern from last year when Scholastic News, from my memory, Scholastic News typically sent out an edition that was revolving around Dr. Seuss and Read Across America Day, and that year they had not done that. They chose to move in a different direction and stuff, and some of the themes behind that were because of the sexist and racist allegations and or similarities, references, and stuff like that that had come up. And then one of my professors at ISU had shared some articles and links to Twitter threads and stuff of examples and references of like past propaganda and cartoons that he drew back in the 60s, and other references in his book to minstrel shows and people covering themselves with makeup and all that stuff, and kind of like the side by side pictures of like I know one of the references kind of looked really similar to Horton Hears a Who, and the monkeys were like just based on the way the cartoons were drawn back then. It had sparked some conversations, and so I guess this year it had been brought to light, and obviously a bigger issue nationally with Biden not mentioning Dr. Seuss, the stopping of production and publication of 6 of his earlier writings that had those racial references and comparisons. So it's just interesting, and it was really eye-opening. And to me, it's not necessarily like cancel culture is such a huge thing right now, and cancel culture is such a destructive thing, because it's literally taking somebody's work and tearing it down to shreds and stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying that Dr. Seuss was all bad and all of his books were bad and stuff. He obviously worked really hard in the literacy and phonics aspect, like with the rhyming and things like that, and it obviously worked for kids back then that were interested in like how society was different and everything. I don't necessarily think that we should be tearing down that entire legacy, like obviously like not publishing the books, because there's so many other amazing authors, illustrators, books, and things like that that we can be bringing to light, instead of bringing to attention the negativity and how we have to take down somebody because of these because of certain aspects of their books. Whereas like we could be bringing to light other more positive and influential children's books authors and illustrators, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a different approach that us as teachers can take to this, is not necessarily slamming and attacking somebody, but bringing to light other better people, you know what I mean? I mean, those are just my views on it. I know that other people feel differently, but I just have personal views against cancel culture and how damaging and destructive it can be to people's lives. And obviously Dr. Seuss is not still alive, but he does have family members and a daughter that spoke out and stuff like that. And like obviously not all of the books are bad, and like I said, like the literacy and phonemic aspect is there, and you can highlight that and use that to support rhyming, like hat, cat, mat, and stuff like that. But then bringing in better authors and illustrators in children's books for other purposes. Like you're not going to use Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham for teaching social emotional learning, if that makes sense. But yeah, those were just my views, but we still did note, like I said, like the literacy and phonemic aspect of like rhyming and stuff like that. Those were the things I kind of chose to highlight. But yeah, but then other than that, the week went pretty well. We did have an incident where a student had to be suspended for a day because they brought a pocket knife to school. And they brought it out in the classroom and were showing other students, not just like 1 or 2 students, but like almost all the classrooms saw the pocket knife and it was being opened. So we had that, but it wasn't like a super huge ordeal. It was just kind of like, it was taken care of and addressed and everything like that. And then we also started behavior tracking for a particular student that we think could potentially obviously have some behavioral issues. It was brought to our attention that, or I guess it was to the attention, but concerns were made because this particular student, they have an older sibling that does stuff, that is diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and they are on medication for it, and just kind of like slightly noticing some of those similar behaviors and reactions in that particular child. And it's just interesting how early you can kind of tell those signs, not saying that that is what it is, or like diagnosing the child or anything, but it's just like interesting that how once you get that information and how like potentially like it could be a genetic thing, just kind of like bringing that to light and seeing like, oh, that could explain why that child does this or that, and why they have these kind of reactions and stuff. Because I have only had one other experience, or at least somewhat personal experience, with someone that does have bipolar disorder. And like about a year and a half ago or something, that friend did end up going off of their medication, and just kind of seeing their reactions and like how it affected like their lives, and seeing that for the first time, and then now like seeing potentially those same kind of triggers and behaviors in that student. It's really eye-opening, and kind of it kind of makes you think it's the gears turning, and like potentially looking down other routes for solutions if like other solutions or other situations did not solve the problem. We can go down other routes to find solutions for them. So we are going to start behavior tracking for them. And then this week, I don't know if I mentioned, but we're hitting literacy really, really hard, and reading really, really hard. So I started doing these comprehension maths. I only did one this week just because we already had so much literacy stuff with the Dr. Seuss thing, but there was one in there about Dr. Seuss and stuff like that, so we did do that today, and that went really well. It just has like a little passage that they have to read, and like little icons to shade in, like to count how many times they read it. There's questions to answer that they have to use sentences for. There's complete the activity, so they have to pull things from the story to write down, and then like drawing a picture to match the passage. So I just think these are kind of fun, like little fillers, or when other students are at interventions and stuff like that for Title I. I think that those can be a good thing to do. And so then there's more in here. This is specifically the March edition. And it also says that there's also printables, Google Slides, and Seesaw applications or adaptations, I guess. But yeah, and each one is different. Like they have different things. Not all of them you have to answer questions. Some of them you have to put events in order or answer questions and stuff like that. And so we are going to be pulling some more of these out to do, and then something to address behavior and following directions is we started doing these listening and coloring maths, which like I have kind of had a light bulb moment, or not a light bulb moment, but just kind of a realization of how these kids are processing, and when I do get frustrated when they're not listening or following directions and stuff, and then we simply pull out these where all they have to do is I read the direction and they specifically do what I ask, and then that's it. No more, no less. And like obviously there's going to be adaptations and they're going to be different, but they have to just follow all of it, clean cut, straight to the point. And it's just like interesting seeing how some students are struggling with just completing those directions and following those directions, completing the tasks. And how I remember when I worked in the daycare, like just doing ASQs on even toddlers, like 18 months to 2.5, and then preschoolers 3 to 5, like how the benchmarks were literally just following 2-step directions or 1-step directions, and or spatial like awareness on a thing, like point to this or something, or mark this, and how those were benchmarks and things that they were focusing on at those ages. And now we're in first grade, and I'm finding that some students are struggling with following 2-part directions and keeping up. And so that's why we started doing these. We're going to do some more of them, just to kind of work on those skills and stuff, hopefully lessen the frustrations in class, on other assignments and activities and whatnot. due to the lack of following directions and listening, but we're working on it. And then just one last thing that we're going to start doing this week is I have read the first couple chapters of Stone Fox. I actually started it, and then we have a little book study thing that has like the questions and vocabulary for each chapter and things to talk about. And I kind of like went in and made some notes. And so we are going to start that this week while I read this to them, to just kind of try to get that auditory comprehension flowing, and see if they can take that auditory that's in their brain and put it down on paper, or put express it vocally using words. So I mean, I guess that's all pretty much for the updates. I'm looking forward to this week. Only 3 weeks till spring break, counting down the days. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.